Hello, welcome to the start of my next reading update. And as always, as soon as I start this in this position, Norman is going to take over the camera. Are you gonna move? You're gonna have to move. You got something stuck in your fur, buddy. Icky. It's all over your belly. Got it. Okay. I'm gonna start with Babylon's Ashes, the 6th book in the Expanse series, working on the second section of the buddy reads, so chapters 11 to 20. I am on chapter 17. Still really nothing going on in this one. This one is starting out real slow, rather boring. Nothing has grabbed me. Here comes the cat again. Come on down. You want to be in the picture? You can be in the picture, but you don't have to be the picture. There you go. Yeah, so far this is my least favorite. Chapter 17 is only 170 pages in, which, I mean, it kind of sounds like a lot, but these are all 500-600 page books. So yeah, there's that one. Not too thrilled with this. And then I also started The Whispering Room, which is the Jane Hawk novel number 2. So far this one is much better than the first one. It starts directly after the first one is done. So still following Jane going through this doing her personal search of the people and reason behind her husband's death. Okay, we'll just pretend that Norman's doing this. He can stay in front of me. So far, I am part 2, chapter 10, 160 pages in. And we've had a mild-mannered school teacher in Minnesota kill herself and quite a few people at a restaurant. And Jane herself she's trying to find somebody who will help her get the information that she stole and obtained in the last book out, and in doing that she's finding more corrupt people and going after them. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot like the first one, where she searches people out and kills them and gets more information, but right now she just has one guy tied up in a chair. So there's that. It's much better than the first one, so if it continues this way, I will continue the series. If it goes back, reverts to the first one, again, not worth it. So we'll see. And then try not to disrupt the kitty so he doesn't get in the way again. Carl's Doomsday Senario. I am chapter 21, page 270, so pretty close to being done. Again, it's fun. It's definitely an RPG. You're basically just following Carl and Donut and going through the quests and the stuff that they have to go through to get through their level in the dungeon. So far, I mean, I guess not so far, it's almost over. This one is basically all on a level 3. The first book was levels 1 and 2. This is level 3. So there's that. It's fun. It's better than the first one because you, like I said the last time, you've already gotten the exposition done, the majority of it. So there's that. And then I finished Under the Dome. Mine is in 2 parts. I read this in January and I read this in February. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said in the other top 5 Stephen King books that I've read, also have not read a lot of the Stephen King books compared to what he has out, but of what I've read, this is in the top 5. Basically, I'm gonna see the cat. We can have it so the cat's on there. Basically, this is Chester's Mill, Maine gets covered in a dome. This is 1 week of life of these people under the dome, and it's basically a character study of the worst of what would happen to different types of people if this had happened to them. And it shows climate, how it would affect the climate, how it would affect outside the dome, inside the dome. There are murders, there are suicides, there are riots, a change in the microclimate, micro environment, micro culture, and Stephen King being a horror writer shows the worst possible scenario of what could happen if something like this were to happen. I thought it was really well done. The first half doesn't move as quick as the second half, but the first half you're going and getting to know all the characters and just getting the whole situation laid out for you. It gives you a map of the city, and as you can see, there are a lot of characters to go through and get background for, and that's what this first book is. And the second book is more action-packed because you already know the characters. You've already gotten to you already know you get to know the characters in the city and how people are changing things to make this situation work in their favor. And then this one is the repercussions of that and the backlash of that. So if you're a Stephen King reader, I do recommend reading Under the Dome. And that is my update for today. And Norman is done, so I guess I'm done also. And I will see you when I see you. Hello, here for another update. I'm not going to have a whole bunch to say. I just need to tell you about the book that I started. But we'll start here. Carl's Doomsday Senario. And still having fun with it. It's still good. Still following Carl and Donut on their quests. Nearing the end of the second quest, which is also near the end of the book. So yeah, that's still going good. And then Babylon's Ashes, I'm not quite sure where I was when I talked to you last, but I finished the second set of chapters, and finally at the end of the second set, things are starting to happen. Factions are breaking off of other factions. Discord is showing up in the sides, and we'll see what happens. It's time to start reading the third set. The Whispering Room. I'm not too far in. Where am I? Is this part 3? Yes, I am just starting part 3 in The Whispering Room, and it is moving at a slower pace than the first one, but you're getting more story, more character development, so it is better than the first one. But it's still Jane running around trying to figure out what's going on with the group behind the nanobots and killing people to do it. We also are starting to follow a police officer from Minneapolis or Minnesota somewhere, I don't think it really said, who was part of the investigation on the teacher incident, who is also starting to look deeper into that. My guess is they're going to connect and work together, but we'll see. And then the reason I started this is because I had to start through Gates of Garnet and Gold, the 11th book in the Wayward Children series, because it's due on Saturday and can't renew it because it's new. I forgot that new books were only out, you could only check them out for a week, not the normal 3 weeks. But I just started, and in this one we are returning to Nancy, who was in previous books. I've only got to the point where something happened in her world and she got sent back to the real world, to the Wayward Children's school, and she wants to get her friends from there together to go help save her world, the Halls of the Dead. Is that what it is? Yes. And go and save the Halls of the Dead, where something has riled up the ghosts and they are killing everybody who's alive down there that they can find. So basically we got to the point where she is talking to Miss West, and they're going to break the rule of no quests yet again. And there's my quick update. I didn't really have much to say, just had to say that I started another book. And there you go. I'll see you when I see you. Here I am to round up the week so that I can get this in the pile of to be edited, which is quite large, and I am behind. But since the last time that you have seen me, I have read quite a bit. I'm losing my bookmark. It's about 2/3 of through Gates of Garnet and Gold, and I'm liking this one. I do tend to like the stories based around multiple characters and the school instead of just the single characters. I like those less than the multiple character ones. It was also nice to see a character from the early books come back, and we go back into the world, the Halls of the Dead in this one. They go on to a quest which is not allowed at the Home for Wayward Children, but they're off on another quest. Our group of main students that do that, Sumi and Cade and Christopher, and they're joined by a few others that aren't the main group. And I don't think I said what the Wayward Children series was before when I first started this. I was in a hurry. But the series of the Wayward Children, oops, my alarm to take my meds. Already did that. These are portal fantasies where children find doors to worlds where they belong, and sometimes those worlds kick them back to us and they go to Mrs. West's home for wayward children to cope with that with other children who have been in the same position. And each book is a set story based on one of the children. In this one, I believe I said before, we see Nancy again, who had gone back to her world, but is forced back to find help for her world because the dead have risen up and are killing the living. And she brings her group of friends back home to help her with this problem. And where I'm at right now is they are in the process of actually confronting the dead and figuring out the problem. So there's Dean Koontz, The Whispering Room, Book 2 in the Jane Hawk series. I am now not quite halfway. Can you see that? Not quite halfway there done. But this one seems to have a couple of extra side stories in it instead of just following Jane finding people and doing what she has to get the answers to her questions of this conspiracy going on about the nanobots that she found out about. We do have one story so far in the 264 pages that I have read. She had one instance of that, but we've also been following the detective from Minnesota who's looking into the teacher's incident and death. And also Jane had a side adventure, I guess, where at a restaurant she saw a group of guys scoping out all the women in the restaurant. They picked a group, followed them, she followed the men, and yeah, she was right. They got them to stop on the side of the road and were holding them captive in their RV. And she took care of that. It was a little weird, but it was an actual interesting and fun story to read. I don't know about fun, but it was an interesting and good story to read. Did it have anything to do with the main base of the story? Not really, no. So I don't know really why it was there, other than to pad the 5 or 6 books in the series. But at least it may not really have anything to do with the overarching story, but it was a good story in itself to read. I enjoyed reading that. But yeah, that's where we're at now. Jane and the detective are actually going to the same place, so I predict they'll run into each other at some point at the end of this book, and they'll combine their forces into figuring out what's going on. But that's where that is. I haven't read anything in Carl's Doomsday Senario since I talked to you last. I ended up reading Babylon's Ashes, the 10 chapters that we were up to in this before I even started The Wayward Children, which is why I'm not done with The Wayward Children, but I have less than 20 pages, so I will have no problem getting it done before the end of the day tomorrow. But Babylon's Ashes, we are getting, the factions are now fighting. We're seeing the fights happening. Some red shirts are dying, and if you don't get that reference, red shirts from the original Star Trek, people were in red shirts. They were the cannon fodder. They were the ones that would die on the episodes. Still, there's still not a lot going on. Should start happening on chapter 31, about halfway through the book. The political intrigue is not that well done. It's not that intriguing in this book. This is book 6, and we really haven't had a whole bunch of it, and now you want to throw an entire book of political intrigue in there, which hasn't been a part of the series much, and you're not that good at writing it. It's not engaging. Go back to the action adventure mysteries that were in the other 5 books. That's why people are reading your series, not this. But we might be getting one starting. So, still working through it. It's still easy to read. Yeah. I'm done with my chapters here, so I'm waiting on my buddy to catch up. That is it. That is all for the week. I will be finishing probably 2 of these books soon. Well, definitely the Wayward Children. It'll be tonight or tomorrow. And I'll probably finish Carl's Doomsday Senario right after that, because I have less than 100 pages left in that book also. So I'll have some stuff to talk to you about next week. And I'll see you then.